Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the latest RISCO webinar. Today, we're going to talk to you about the power of the RISCO Installer Cloud and how it can improve your customer management and business efficiencies. I'm Greg Smith, Marketing Manager for the UK and Ireland. With me today is Glyn Riley, who's our Chief Technical Sales Engineer. He'll be delivering today's webinar. Big thank you to everyone that's joined us, and I hope you're all staying well and practicing social distancing. In common with last week's session on RISCO configuration software, the objective is to show you more about the things you can do remotely and continue to engage with your customers. For the duration of the presentation, we'll keep everybody set to mute, and once the presentation's completed, we'll take some questions. When we were putting this webinar together, we could see there was a lot of information for everyone to digest. So what we did, we decided to split it into two parts. So we've got today, and we've got another session next Wednesday, which will be back to its regular morning slots of 9 AM. This is today's agenda, which will introduce you to the main functions of RISCO Installer Cloud, such as creating sites, adding panels, cameras, and smart devices, and increasing the effectiveness of your business management processes, introducing you to how RISCO Cloud allows you to manage your employees, roles, permissions, and more. For part two of the webinar next week, we'll be introducing some further and more advanced features, such as creating, assigning, and filtering tags, contacting your customers directly from RISCO Cloud, enabling and disabling sites, mapping service routes, and configuring push notifications. Before we get going on the Installer Cloud piece, I'd just like to start by mentioning the RISCO Cloud platform in general and the fact it's the most secure solution of its kind out there. It's based on Microsoft Azure across 3 separated data centers, ensuring a robust backup process and continuity systems. In addition, we've created a double-layered security approach between our iRISCO app and the cameras in your customers' properties. Firstly, you have the SSL encryption, which is password protected and now includes biometric access capability, making the app probably as secure as online banking. Then this is paired with a security token that is randomly generated and can only be verified when your customer logs into their device. What this means to you is that the security we're offering provides a real peace of mind to your customers and a great differentiator when you're selling against competitors in your area. And as you can see, it's the only secure by design accredited included cloud in the industry. We'll be looking at running a separate session on the advanced security of RISCO Cloud soon, so watch this space. But for today, and without further ado, I'll pass you over to my trusty colleague Glyn, who will live demonstrate Installer Cloud.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me, and I hope everybody is well. The RISCO Cloud, I'm sure most of us know where it is, but on your screens right now is the website address. So it's www.riscocloud.com/IC. That will take you to the web page. I'm just about to bring that up, if you bear with me 1 second. So, RISCO Cloud. If you've logged in before, you'll be presented with this screen where you will use your email address and a password you generated during the sign-up process. For those of you that have not used the RISCO Cloud, when you land on this page, simply go to the sign-up, and that will enable you to create your account. All we need is a name. You select your country, an email address which you will use to log into the installer admin account, and you will become the installer admin at that point. Password. The password is required to be secure. We need it to be at least 8 digits. We also need to have a capital letter, a lowercase letter, a number, and a character such as hash or exclamation mark. You will need to click I'm not a robot, and then when you click continue, it will ask you for the normal consent. Do you consent to receive information from RISCO or not? And once you've finished that process, you will receive an email just verifying your email address, and it will allow you to log in, and it will basically take you back to this page. So enter your details and we click login, and that will take you to the main working page, which is what we call the sites page. Now I'll come back to the sites page in a few minutes, but because some people may be creating an installer admin account for the first time, I'd just like to go through some of the features of the company page. So this is you as a company. For first-time users, you will be asked to fill this information here, the company details. So you put in your details, where you are, your postcode and everything else. Also your support information. With the monitoring service companies, I'll be covering this in more detail next week, but it is possible for you to send alarm signals into your alarm receiving center via the cloud. To do that, the panel needs to be registered on the cloud. It needs to be in your installer admin account, and we need from RISCO to know which ARC you would like us to connect to. And we will enable these services for you, and you can then just send signals without any messing around with the panel. We have the tags, and I think Greg mentioned them earlier. We're going to cover them in detail next week, but they allow you to set up customized search options within your sites. So you can assign a tag that is relevant to you as a company against all your panels and your sites. Some of the other bits and pieces that we have across the top, it is possible to allow your employees access. Now they can have restricted access, or you can allow them to have access as to all sites. So it depends on your organization how you like to set that up. And again, this is going to be covered next week. The other area is the settings. This allows you to set up what push notifications as a company you're going to use as a default. It's editable per site once you have set this area up, and following the rest of the format currently, that will be covered next week. So I'm going to jump back into sites. Now, sites is the main working area for the RISCO Cloud. This is where all your sites are. Now, sites are basically a location where you have RISCO equipment. So it could be your office, it could be your home. It is somewhere where you have a panel, some VUpoint cameras, or the smart home. If you're new, then you will need to create a new site. And if your customer has already got the app working, we need to pull that site into your installer admin account. So it's not in the main cloud. It becomes ring-fenced to you as a business. Nobody can do anything, and you have full control over your panels, your sites. So what I'm going to do is quickly go into where it says add site, and we get a new slide out window. We get an option for two different ways of managing our sites. We've got new site and we've got an existing site. So I'm going to do existing site first, because this is the quickest and easiest method. The general rule of thumb for an existing site is that you have the customer with the app already working. So they've gone through all the details on their app when they downloaded the app and they installed it. They'll be asked for a whole load of details, and all you need to do is remember the control panel ID. And again, a bit like last week, if you was involved in the configuration software, you need the first 11 digits of the alarm panel security ID, the CPID. Once you have that, click next, and the panel will be added with the site and all the relevant information, and we just click add, and we're there. That is an existing site. It has a process plus, a Lixis panel in there. I have a monitoring station configured. I have no cameras. I have no devices. So that's the quickest, easiest method that we can use. Now, while I'm here, I'll just go through a few things with you. The about section, the statistics, the smartphones, licenses, and web users. These just highlight all the different users on the system. Licenses, if you have any installed. Now, I've got a couple of licenses for a VUpoint camera there. Smartphones, so these are people that are using the app. And the stats, basically, you can see there all the information about the panel, how many times it's been armed, disarmed, and so on. So we have lots of information. On here, on the Lixis itself, we have the panel, and again, I have information about the panel. Should I wish to change the panel, so we've had an issue on site, the panel's been damaged or it has gone faulty, you don't need to create a new site. You just need to delete the current panel and then add the new panel. There's no need to go around deleting the app, deleting the login details for the customer. Because the site contains the panel, you can simply just change the panel inside the site, and you will use that delete key down here. So that's using an existing site. So again, that's when the customer has the app up and running. If I just go back now and go back into add site, we can create a new site. Now this takes a little bit more work for you guys. You have to fill in all the details yourself and not let your customer do it, but it allows you to create a site before you go to the actual customer. You can add your panel, you can enroll your cameras, all nice and easily. So what we will do, we obviously need to give the site a name. So I will just call it demo site. Make sure you're in the right country. So if you've installed it in, say, Spain, when we can get back to Spain, put Spain in there and select the right time zone. So we need to be in GMT. Put your city in, put the address in, and put your postcode in and the customer's phone number. We only need some information in there. The more information you put in, the better it is for you when it comes to trying to find all your sites within the site list. Now, the important thing is every customer needs to have an email. So we ask you, get the customer's email, so the owner's details, input it here, and then you simply check if that customer is known on the cloud or not. If they're not known, then you will need to just input their name and their phone number. And then when you click add, the customer's going to receive an email. Now that email will be asking them to take ownership of the site you just created. They click on the next button in the email. If they're new to the cloud, they will need to go through adding the password. Now the passwords follows the same format as we do for the installer admin account. So you need to make sure it's 8 digits, uppercase, lowercase, a number and a character. That way we keep it nice and secure in the cloud for everybody. Once they've inputted all these details and they've logged into their app, they will be offered, if their smart device has the functionality, to input biometrics, be it retinal and fingerprint, depending on your phone. So we have a new site. Now, if you may notice, I have no panel, no monitoring stations, no cameras, no smart home devices. So I have an empty site. So you've gone along, you've installed the alarm panel. So we just click on the panel and simply click add panel. So again, what we need here is the control panel ID. So again, the first 11 digits. The panel password, it is simply just 6 A's, and they're capital A's. So as long as I've counted correctly there, if I click save, we get a pop-up window just making sure we've inputted the correct password, and we now have the panel. So the panel is online. You've got the version there, you've got the product ID and the serial number. So we've simply just added the panel into the customer's site. I'm going to leave monitoring stations until next week. But if we want to add cameras, now we get a lot of calls with cameras about how we add them, how do we add them into the cloud. It is very, very easy. When you have the RISCO VUpoint cameras, just simply plug them into a power supply temporarily and a patch lead into the customer's router. So they have a hardwired connection onto the customer's router. Make a note of the MAC address. That's the important thing. That's the identifier. So what we will do, add new camera. You can give the camera a name. If it's a new RISCO VUpoint camera, then you will automatically have the right information. This drop-down list will give you the RISCO IP. Now, these are for the very old UPnP cameras, the first range of cameras we sold. So just be careful to make sure you have the right type of camera selected. And then the camera ID, as I mentioned to you before, is the MAC address. Now, you don't have to enter the colons, the 2 dots between each pair of characters, and always put the letters in capitals. Now, MAC addresses do not have a letter O in them. It's a hexadecimal number, so if it looks like an O, it's going to be a 0. Once you've got the MAC address in, click on next, and the camera will be found. Now, the cameras, when they connect to the network, instead of just sitting there waiting to be identified on the local network, they actually call home to the cloud, to the RISCO cloud. So the cloud has registered the camera against this particular site. Once I'm there, I click OK, and that's my camera added to the site. And if I had an app, that would now show up in the app, and the customer would be able to view the camera. All you would need to do then is go off, fit the camera, and ensure that it continues to work. That takes so many issues of cable issues and network problems. You know the camera's working. We have the option of adding an NVR. So the NVR works in exactly the same way. So this is the RISCO VUpoint NVR, a 4-channel, an 8-channel, or a 16-channel unit. Again, we just simply click on Add New NVR, and we give the NVR a name. So I'm going to be simple and just call it NVR. And just get in the MAC address, and again, same format. Plug the NVR into the customer's network, give it some power. If you've got any cameras, you can plug them into the back of the NVR. You can also plug OnVIF cameras into the back of the NVR. We'll cover that next week. But for now, we'll just add the NVR. Click on Add. Now, the NVR is added. And what it's done, it's quickly scanned the local network, and it's found 2 cameras. The first camera, camera number 1, is the one I added just before. So it's in the site. It already exists in the site. So I can click on here, and camera number 2, it's a new camera as far as the site is concerned, and it's not added to the NVR yet. So again, I just click on the checkbox, click next. I have an option to rename camera 1, and how do I want to record? So it's continuous or motion detection. If I just say continuous, and save and continue, that will add the camera to the NVR. So the NVR will start recording the camera on a continuous basis. And once we've set the triggers up, it will also allow snapshots and a 30-second recording to go up into the cloud away from site. Now, it's now found that second camera. It's given me all the details. And again, I can choose how I want it to be recorded. So I'm going to say motion detection. Click save and continue. It's added the camera. Now this camera has also got Wi-Fi on it. So hopefully it's now going to give me the option of connecting it via the Wi-Fi. So we will just click on connect Wi-Fi. It will scan for all the local networks. I'll pick that one and just drop in the Wi-Fi password. Hopefully I'll get it right. Click continue, and there we go. It's all connected to my Wi-Fi, and it's giving me a message saying that I can disconnect the cable from the router to the camera, and I can go and fit it, and it will continue to use the Wi-Fi. Click OK. So that is 2 cameras added. So the NVR has got the 2 cameras, and they're also recording how I've asked them to record. If we want interaction between the alarm panel and the cameras, all we do is go to triggers, add a trigger, and it's a simple list of actions and reactions. So we can choose either between petition and detector. So I'll leave it as petition, and I'll just select the one petition. Then you have all your petition events. If I just roll that down slowly for you, you can see there's a large number of events in there that you can use to trigger the cameras to take the snapshots and so on. So I'll just pick the simple one, and I can choose both cameras, or I could just choose a camera. After that, we have the camera operation. So I'm going to say take some images. Now we can adjust this number up to 10 images in total. So at the moment I've got 2 images pre with a second interval between the 2 pictures, and then I'm just going to increase that up to 10 pictures. So in effect it's 2 pictures pre, 8 pictures post. Now these camera pictures are sent to the cloud, so they are stored offsite. Same with the video clip. The video clip is defined as a 30-second clip with 5 pre, 25 post. Now, as long as your cameras are up to date with their firmware, there is no need to update or install the SD cards in them. They will record locally, and then they will be the images and the videos will be sent to the cloud. Click save. And that's your trigger, and you can create as many triggers as you like. Just don't create the same trigger, because it will reject it, saying that that trigger is already happening. So you can't generate the same trigger twice. So smart home, we are able to add Z-Wave devices to the customer's app and their property, which again can be controlled via the panel's actions. So if you fitted a smart thermostat, you could say, well, when I set my alarm, nobody's home, so you can tell the thermostat to lower the temperature, thus saving power and energy. So there's 2 elements to the smart home. First one is a gateway. So the gateway is supplied by RISCO. It's a small unit that needs to plug into the customer's broadband. And again, we can just click on the add gateway. The ID again is like the cameras, it's just the MAC address in the same format. Remember, anything that looks like a 0 will be a number 0. It will not be the letter O. Make sure that the letters are in capitals and click save. As long as the gateway is registered on the cloud, it will be added to your site, and you can click OK. Now, the gateway I've just added has already got some smart devices learnt onto it, but I'm going to learn a new device on for you. So, learning the devices, install the device. Now, the quickest, easiest one will be something like a plug that you plug into the customer's wall socket, and it has a pass-through function, and you can turn it on and off. You can dim it depending on the unit you get. So all you need to do, click on add device, install it, and activate the enrolling option. which I'm trying to do now with mine here, and it's enrolled. So if you've ever installed any RISCO wireless onto your alarm panel, it is a very, very similar process. Once it's enrolled, you can give the device a name. So I'm just going to call this plug 3 and click on save. And that's now added into the system. And that will appear in the customer's app. And they can set up scenes and things like this inside their app so that you're not involved. If they want to change the time a lamp comes on, they can set that up themselves. But if they want to add more devices, they need to contact you to add the devices. Groups, they allow you to group your devices. So I've got a couple of groups already defined here. So I've just added that plug number 3, so I could add that plug and even that smart plug into the plugs group, or the radiator into the thermostat. And to add a group, simply click add group, give the group a name, so I'll just call this demo, and then you can add the various devices into your group. And that will make it easier for your customers when they're setting up their scenes to identify devices. So their groups could be done by room, by device type, or whatever is needed by yourselves. So once I've done that, if I click the back, we go back to the main screen, and here we can just carry on adding devices and so on. So that's really the end of the demo that I'm going to do today, but I will take questions once we finish the rest of the presentation on anything that is cloud related, if you like. So Greg, back to you. Greg.
Sorry everyone, I left my speaker on mute. If anybody does want to find out more, we're taking bookings for one-to-one demonstrations. Glenn and a couple of the other tech guys are available to do that. If you just call or email on the number and email address on the screen. As billed, the next webinar date for your diary is next Wednesday for part 2. The agenda is shown on the screen. We'll be going into a bit more depth how you can increase your organizational efficiency. We'll show you tags and why they're important, how you can easily segment and communicate with your customer base, how to enable and disable sites. For example, if customer hasn't paid for maintenance, plus a few other nice things to improve the way you go about your day-to-day business. We're back at our regular time next Wednesday of 9 AM. So hopefully we'll see most of you then. Additionally, we have RISCO University. Now it's a perfect time for you to upskill you and your teams. We've got a range of RISCO topics, including all our panels, cloud, detectors, and video verification solutions. If you're not on already, you can sign up via the RISCO website. Another reminder, we now supply a huge range of Dower CCTV products. We're just in the process of putting a promotion together with some great prices, so that will be with everybody soon. We're now also providing a free non-RISCO license for every IP network camera. So that's something pretty permanent, so that's another reason to work with RISCO for your Dower supply. Thank you very much for joining us. Just stay safe. We'll now be opening up for questions.